Jury selection is underway in the murder trial of Kyle Rittenhouse. He's accused of shooting and killing 2 people and injuring a third during a protest last year against the police shooting of Jacob Blake, a black man. Prosecutors say Rittenhouse traveled to Wisconsin from Illinois and was 17 years old at the time of the shooting. He is facing multiple charges, including murder, attempted murder, and possession of a dangerous weapon by a person under 18. For more on this, I'm joined by Kirk Burkhalter. He is a professor of law at New York Law School. Kirk, welcome. Thanks very much for being with us. So, Judge Bruce Schroeder denied a request from both the prosecution and the defense to send questionnaires to potential jurors to detect bias. How does that slow down the process?
Well, pleasure to be here, Elaine. Thank you. It certainly slows down the process a bit because this allows both sides to rule out potential jurors based on any biases that they might harbor. It also helps them to identify potential jurors based on their ideology, biases, or whatever, their beliefs. And this is actually going to be quite important in this trial, given the self-defense that Kyle Rittenhouse will be putting on. That's what this trial is going to turn on.
And so, Professor, what kind of jurors will both sides be looking to select in this trial?
So what's important here is that under Wisconsin statute for self-defense, it turns on whether the actor, in this case, Kyle Rittenhouse, reasonably believed the threat was imminent. And that reasonable belief will be based in part on a person similar to Kyle Rittenhouse, meaning his physical stature, his state of mind at the time, and so forth. So therefore, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and reasonable belief is in the eye of the beholder. Whether a juror reasonably believes that one was in danger, taking a look at the video that we saw and what occurred that night, or whether one believes that it was unreasonable, will very much turn on their belief regarding the events and the justification for people who turned out on the streets. So you can imagine that it's going to be very important determining the ideology of potential jurors, everything from their politics, their morals, and so forth.
Right, because lawyers for Rittenhouse say that he fired at his victims in self-defense. How easy or difficult will that be to prove to a jury?
Well, I think it's going to be a larger hurdle for the prosecution. And as we mentioned, that the belief has to be reasonable. And at certain points, in the video, you see someone chasing Kyle Rittenhouse and threatening him and so forth. So, at first blush, when this story first came out, everyone just looked at the video and said this is unreasonable, and they may still think so. However, it's very different in a court of law. You have him walking by himself and potentially believing he's under attack, and at one point he's on his back when he fires. Now, I'm not saying this to justify his actions. I'm merely saying what the prosecution will have to prove. What's important here is the prosecution will bear the burden of proof of disproving that his actions were unreasonable. And that's quite different than the defense having to prove that his actions were reasonable. So also the judge has disallowed any use of the word victims and so forth. However, the defense will be able to use the terms, if proved, rioters, looters, arsonists, and so forth. So the defense has kind of a leg up here as far as their case is concerned.
Well, as we mentioned, protests in Wisconsin over the police shooting of Jacob Blake were the catalyst that set off events leading to this trial. Should we expect how the local police department responded to both the actual demonstrators and Rittenhouse come into play here?
Well, what is interesting here is the police department and their response will not be on trial. And as a matter of fact, the judge is known for being quite a hardliner as far as ensuring that defendants receive a fair trial. And I could see the judge very much believing that information regarding the police response and the surrounding demonstrations and protests and so forth being not relevant, meaning they do not tend to prove or disprove the matter at hand. And certainly there was a large controversy as to how the police treated Kyle Rittenhouse versus how they treated the various people in the street. However, I would say it would be unlikely, and as a matter of fact, the judge is likely to disallow any of that information coming in and focusing squarely on the events. Whether the police policed the persons in the street differently than Kyle Rittenhouse, in some respect, has no bearing on whether Kyle Rittenhouse reasonably believed that he was under attack.
Well, what kind of punishment could Rittenhouse potentially face if he's convicted of the charges against him?
Well, if he's convicted of the top charges, he certainly would face life in prison. There's a strong possibility, however, that one, he won't be convicted of all the charges, and two, that given his youth, and I'm sure there will be all types of probation reports and considering his mental state and so forth, that he would be unlikely to receive a life sentence. So that's potentially what he's facing. However, I do not believe we would see a life sentence in this case if he is convicted.
All right, a lot to watch in this trial. Professor Kirk Burkhalter. Professor, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.